Hello, my friend. I'm Charlie Simons. I host a show called Do Not Talk. You can find us on Rumble, rumble.com/do not talk. Why is it called Do Not Talk? It's because I do talk about the two things you're never supposed to talk about: religion and politics. Oops, I just spilled water on my board. This is our 15-ounce mug. You can buy this and help this show stay on the air at do-not-talk.com. This mug or this shirt right here, God, Family, Country. We'd appreciate the help if you can support this ministry and help it stay on the air. Thank you. And I will continue bringing to you things, whether it's at rumble.com/do not talk or live on these different platforms like I am right now. Any chance I get to point out to you and introduce you to people who are on the front lines. What's going on? How are they being suppressed? How are they being silenced, censored, shut down, legal action taken against them that's very illegal, very unconstitutional? And that's who I'm talking to right now. His name is Robert Bevis, and he is in Illinois. Hello, my friend.
Hey there, Charlie. How are you today?
I'm borderline amazing, but you, on the other hand, you've been encountering some problems with your own government. Is this county? Is this state? Is it city? Where is it?
Well, it's both the local city and the state, so we're fighting back against both of them there.
And you are a one of what they call an FFL, Federal Firearms Licensed Agent, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, we're a firearm dealer, manufacturer, importer, and we do gunsmithing and training. Quite a bit of training for both law enforcement and the civilian markets.
Thank God, because I'm encouraging people, especially women, get a gun. Get a gun. It's a great
Yeah.
equalizer. And get one for your home, get one for your person, and learn how to use it and carry it. If you are you an open carry state in Illinois?
No. We are. Let's see. Our state is probably one of the hardest to get a concealed carry permit in. It requires 16 hours of training, and you also have a pre-purchase license you have to have, which is called a FOID card, and that allows you to then go out and practice your constitutional rights of owning a firearm once you've paid them their money and they're satisfied that you're okay to do so. So,
They're
yep.
satisfied. Despite what
Yeah.
your constitutional protected right is to own and carry firearms. Well, I'm in California, so I don't have to tell you
Okay.
anything about how
Okay.
restrictive they are and how much they want to disarm the population. And they're doing things and sneaking things through all the time. This is a repressive, horrible thing that's going on. And it goes directly against our federal constitution, these laws that states are imposing. And a lot of times is they'll just do it and then it has to go to the courts. In the meantime, that takes months and months. And next thing you know, it's already, most people are like, oh, well, I guess that's just the way it is. And they forget about it. And it is, as the NRA said many times, you can't even give them an inch because their ultimate goal is a mile. And their ultimate goal is to disarm you and take away your constitutionally protected right to own and bear a firearm. So what's happening to you in Illinois? You're in a town called, is it Naperville?
Yeah, that's correct. So let me give you a little background. I'm from Miami, Florida. One of the first states to have concealed carry. Back in '82, I think, '83, maybe it came out. Well, I moved to Illinois in '92 with my wife and daughter, and my son was born here. And I, got my FFL license, about '95. But prior to that, I worked at my father's gun range at age 11. I was sweeping targets and sweeping the floor, stapling targets, cleaning guns. And I got to shoot 200 rounds of any gun in the shop that I wanted to, and a Whopper and a milkshake. So I loved it, and eventually I became a gunsmith and private detective and moved to Illinois. And boy, was that a change for us from Miami, Florida. But, in '95, I got my FFL and started working on law enforcement guns mostly. And in 2009, we opened to the general public, and the company grew ever since. Back in, I think, around 2012, the mayor of Naperville had come into our shop and invited us to come over to Naperville and be the first gun shop ever in the city. So we packed up, moved into Naperville, and we're having a great run of it until August of 2022, when
What
everything
happened?
changed.
2022. What happened? What did they start doing?
Well,
What's the problem?
well, what happened is here we support law enforcement heavily. We donate guns. I repair all their firearms. We manufacture firearms for law enforcement. And the city of Naperville decided that they wanted to play political theater and decided to engage in in actually enacting an ordinance to prevent the sale of what they call assault weapons, which we all know is just a propaganda term. It's not an assault weapon. There's no such thing as an assault weapon. I guess not. If I hit you in the head with a mushroom, it'd be an assault mushroom, right? Or a marshmallow or whatever. But they just call
Exactly.
it
That's what I
assault.
was going to say. Anything that you pick up and use to try and
Right.
harm someone else becomes an assault weapon.
Right. But what they do is they try to use these scary terms to, brainwash the public, the people that aren't very familiar with firearms. They say, oh, they're militaristic. They shoot 1,000 rounds a minute. They got all of these crazy, terms that they use to try to, outline America's favorite rifle, the AR-15.
And they justify what they call an assault weapon is basically anything that to them looks like a military weapon.
Yeah.
That is absolutely what it is. So,
Well,
for
but even
example,
further than that,
hey,
Charlie, than you can
okay,
believe.
yeah,
They take a handgun, so a pistol. If it has a threaded barrel, it's an assault weapon. If it shoots more, if it holds more than 15 rounds in the magazine, it's an assault weapon. If you take your Ruger 1022, which most youths start with, it's the first gun you get in the Boy Scouts and things like that. They consider that an assault weapon if it has a threaded barrel or if it has a sling on it or an adjustable stock. They come up with all these crazy. They listed like 200 and some guns, and then every variation of that.
you mentioned Ruger. They have a rifle called it's a ranch rifle. Basically, it's carbine, which means it's
Yep.
just a regular rifle, only shorter.
Correct.
And the carbine came into play. This goes back to the 1800s when you had a saddle and your rifle holder. You didn't want a big long rifle, so you had a shorter one, and that was that's what a carbine is. So Ruger makes what they call a Mini 14. It has every single same function as what the left has labeled an assault rifle, doesn't it? But it doesn't look
Yes.
like it's military.
Yeah. And it holds 20 rounds. So, ooh, that's real scary. Yeah.
So in 2022, you got a little surprise then. What happened?
Yeah. So I got a draft from the city council or the city attorney. He sent me a draft of this and actually was asking my help in drafting it. And I looked at it and I go, Mike, are you crazy? They said, this isn't going to save lives. This isn't going to stop crime. It's not going to do any of the things you say it's going to do. And he's like, well, Robert, we have to do it. And I said, look, I'm going to come to the council meeting and talk. So I showed up at the council meeting and with about 600 people. They've never had so many in their life there. And I got up there and to tell you, Charlie, I really thought that I was ignorant. I got up there and I said, I explained all the data, why this isn't going to stop any crime in Naperville, how it's not going to prevent, criminals from coming into the town. It's not going to save any lives. In fact, all it's going to do is disarm law-abiding citizens. Nobody, the criminals aren't going to turn in their firearms. They're not going to go under a registry. They're not going to obey signs that say no guns allowed. I mean, this is ridiculous. And I really thought that when I tell them the facts, they're going to say, hey, Rob, you're right, and throw this thing out. But when they didn't do that, I was astonished because I wasn't ever a political person at all. And I couldn't figure out why they know it's not going to do what they say it's going to do, but yet they're going to continue to do it anyway. That's when I learned about political theater and, these council members are just Joe mowing their lawn if they aren't a council member. So they want to keep their seat or they want to get a better seat in a different office or a higher office. And that's what it's all about. They don't care whether it's going to harm, civilians or anything. All they want is that greed of keeping that political agenda going, and that's what turned me into a Second Amendment freedom fighter, and
It
why
it
I'm
makes you
doing that.
wonder that these people don't do anything unless they're benefited by it in some way, and a lot of it
Mhm.
is money. It makes
Yeah.
you wonder who's paying whom for them to, force through these, kind of laws that are going to do nothing but disarm their own fellow citizens and
Yeah,
neighbors.
I was going. I looked at what the council member gets paid. They get paid 16,000 a year to be a council member, and I'm like, what's going on, right? How they wouldn't do this for 16 grand? I mean, really? And no, but they get wined and dined, and they're important, and they get asked all the questions, and I'm sure there's a lot of bribery and everything else going on in the back scenes, because everything seems to lead to money. But when they did this, I told them, I said, listen, I've been in the town. I was invited by the mayor here. I said, Naperville, just grandfather me in, carve me out of this deal. You want to stop other gun shops from coming in or whatever you want to do, don't mess with me, leave me alone. And they said, well, we can't do that because there's other kitchen table, we'll call them FFLs, in the city. And I said, yeah, but they don't have any teeth to fight you. And so grandfather me in. I do a lot of good for the city. We've stopped over 150 gun purchases that shouldn't have happened, and I've had maybe 20 people arrested that came into my shop wearing an ankle monitor, wanting to buy a gun to kill his sister and things like that. Yeah. And literally, and we stopped them. And we had another lady that was kidnapped, and her kid was actually being held in the car while the kidnapper and her were in the store trying to buy a gun. So these are some of the good things we do. I mean, I serialize guns for the FBI. I do firearm destruction when guns are mandatorily have to be destroyed. I'm the one that does it for 200 different police departments across Illinois and in other states. But we do a lot of good for the community, and I could not believe that they were going to put me out of business, the only gun shop in Naperville. So when they said no and they went ahead and enacted that ordinance, I filed a lawsuit. And what I said to my family, I said, listen, should we move or should we stay and fight? And they said, look, well, let's stay and fight for everybody's rights. Their Second Amendment rights. Let's fight for them, because a lot of people don't understand the implications of this. So we said, all right, we're going to stay and fight. But I didn't account for the possibility of lost revenue. And that's what really killed us. So I have, to date, I spent almost $500,000, $500,000 in legal fees alone. And I've lost more than $3 million in sales. But came January 1st of 23 or January 10th of 23, the state enacted the same thing, an assault weapons ban in the city, in the whole state. So I enjoined the state in my lawsuit. Now we are the lead case fighting for everyone's rights here in Illinois. We've been up to the Supreme Court twice on the U.S. Supreme Court twice on a preliminary injunction, which happened to be denied. But we are now filing cert next week, and we will be in front of the U.S. Supreme Court, and we're going to get this law shut down eventually. But I'll tell you what, justice is possible, but it ain't cheap.
In the
It takes.
meantime, they're, ruining you.
Yep.
Ruining your business, ruining everything that you've built.
Yes.
You're using your own money, your own savings to go after them. This is a constitutionally protected right. The state and the county and the city are making decisions going against a federally licensed firearm dealer. And where's the federal government in all this? How are they helping you in any way at all?
You said who's helping me? I'm sorry.
The federal government. You're a
Oh,
federally
no.
licensed firearm dealer.
Yes, no, they don't get involved in it at all. They're there to license you, not to aid you. So the ATF and FBI and all these guys, which are all great friends of mine, and they come in and buy firearms all the time. And like I said, I serialize guns for ATF. I'm the only gun shop in the entire state that does that. When a firearm is recovered that's been stolen and someone ground the numbers off, I'm the one that re-engraves the assigned number from ATF. But they can't help. They have to stay neutral. These individuals that I know throughout the different agencies, they really can't get involved. There's nothing they could do anyway. This is J.B. Pritzker that's doing this, and he is the this governor hates its citizens more than any other governor in the country. I guarantee it.
Oh,
And
really? Yeah. You sure
oh
you want to say that? Because remember, we
yeah,
have Governor Hairdo over here.
oh yeah. Well, we've got you beat with this guy. Believe me,
You think
you're gonna
so?
see it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. He hates everybody. But what's happened is, let me tell you a little bit. So what they did, part of this assault weapons ban is also they've created a registry, and you were required by January 1st of 24. So a couple weeks ago, you were required to register any assault weapons that you have, and if you don't, you're a criminal. Well, out of the 2.5 million FOID card holders in Illinois, and we know that most people have more than one of these guns, they have about less than 2% compliance rate on this registry, which is just burning a hole in our governor's head. He cannot stand it that people have not, basically, is civil disobedience. They are not registering their firearms. And a lot of it's because we gave them a way not to. In the law that they wrote, which is probably the same in California if you read it, it says in there that an assault weapon does not include a firearm that is operated manually by a bolt, lever, pump, or slide action. So what we did is we invented I have a full machine shop. We do lots of gunsmithing, and so we developed a way to bypass the gas system on an AR-15 to make it a single shot fire, and you have to charge the handle and fire it again. And doing so takes it outside of the classification as an assault weapon, and you don't have to register it. So I don't know how many of those bolts we made for people, somewhere in the 5,000 range. So we have almost as many bolts sold as he has people that did register, and that's upset him so much that we hear that he's going to try and do an absolute prohibition of the firearms in the state completely, which would be unprecedented.
Which is freaky. We're talking
Yeah.
about them showing up and knocking on people's doors, aren't we now?
Yes, full confiscation. And if you don't comply, they're actually tying your FOID card, your firearm owner's card, to your driver's license. So if you don't comply, they cancel your firearm owner's card, and then you're not allowed to have a driver's license. So now what they're doing, they're actually stopping you from your regular freedoms of being able to travel or go to work or go buy groceries, because they take away your driver's license. So this is another one of their responses here. So yeah, that's why I'm telling you,
That is
our
insane.
governor hates us more than your governor hates you. Trust us. He does.
That is insane.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, nothing like this has ever happened. Every time there's a gun registry, we know it leads to confiscation 100% of the time. And this gun registry
It's happening
started
in Canada right now, by the way.
Oh yeah, Australia, everywhere. It's all over. But he's going to try and do this in the United States. See, what Pritzker wants to do is he wants to run for president. So what he's going to say is, when we throw this law into the dust pile, okay, and we destroy it and win this thing, he's going to say to everybody, well, I did the best I could, as governor, make me president and I'll do better, But meanwhile, what he's trying to do is get 3 or 4 other states to sort of follow suit so they can try to take this federally and see if they can get a federal prohibition on these firearms. And, what really bothers me is that you ask anti-gunners, any of these people that support this, what is an assault weapon? What identifies an assault weapon? And they always say, oh, it's got so much power it blows your arm off, to cut you in half, and it'll shoot 1,000 rounds a second, and why do you need such a thing?
We have a president who says stupid things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, everybody knows the AR-15, which is the rifle they're really after, the AK-47 and FALs and all the other, lots of other firearms, but that's the main one they're after, because they say, oh, it's used in all these mass shootings. Well, there's 44 million of these firearms in the US, and there's been 13 shootings that involve these over the last 7 or 8 years or 10 years, I think.
Yeah, it's almost always a handgun.
Right. So what happened to the other 44 million of these guns that are in lawful, being used lawfully with people that have, lawful reason to have them, and they just, they ignore the facts, they ignore the data, they just make this stuff up and they throw it out there and hope it sticks. Meanwhile, I'm going to lose my business because of it. $3 million in sales and $500,000. You know what it's like to write checks to an attorney at the tune of $30,000 and $50,000 at a time? It is horrible, trust me. And I've had to mortgage my house, ring up all my credit cards, sell some of my possessions just to pay the 20 or 30,000 a month to keep my doors open. Because if they successfully close me down, they're going to file a motion to dismiss because they're saying they're not harming me anymore. And you know what? These Chicago judges, these federal judges, will give it to them, and it'll set us back 2 years. We'll be back at the district court level asking for a preliminary injunction again and starting all over if they successfully do this. And you know what the bad part is let's say I win, right? So we win this. It's going to take 3 or 4 years to try to collect any monetary money from them,
Yeah,
right? And they hire forensic accountants and all this stuff to figure it out, an economist, and they're going to try and attack it, and meanwhile, whose money is going to pay for it anyway? The taxpayer,
ours.
right?
Yeah,
So
yours.
yeah, ours, yeah, both of ours. So, this is, we spend our own money to defend ourselves and to pay for their attack on us, and there's no recourse against these politicians. They have
You've become
qualified
like
leaders.
that gym owner in New Jersey when the forced shutdown of businesses and so on.
Yep.
You've become like the catalyst. You've become like the target of
Yeah,
the left in Illinois because, well, if this guy wins, it's going to thwart so many of our plans because he has set an example. He's set a precedent. So we've got to
exactly.
take him down.
Right. And they're doing their best. The problem is the law is not on their side. Since the Heller and Bruin cases that are out there and prevent them from doing this, they're having a very hard time getting around the precedent set by the US Supreme Court. So although they've got all the federal judges in their pockets, our governor paid $2 million to 2 sitting federal judges that both on a 3-panel judge panel, 2 of them sat through this case. They're the ones that ruled against us. He gave them $2 million in their campaigns. If there isn't some type of buyout going there or payoff going on, I don't know what is, but it's very obvious. But, this Illinois is probably the most corrupt state I think there is. I don't think there's one worse. I mean,
Well, I'm afraid you've got a long history of that. Chicago
Yep.
being being the mecca of corruption. It
Yes, it
seems
is.
like, and
Hard to
the whole
believe.
state's got a long history of that kind of corruption, and unfortunately, it's polluted by the left.
Yes,
I
it is
am
true.
amazed that at that city council meeting, you had 600 of your fellow citizens show up, but yet they
Yeah.
still said, "Yeah, we don't care. We
Yeah,
don't
well, I think
care."
we had 532 people opposing the ordinance, and they had about 37 or so that were for it, and they still passed it. And these are all Naperville citizens. I mean, I just sent out an email blast 2 days before the council meeting and said, "Hey, everybody, show up. They're taking our rights away." And lo and behold, we had 600 people show up.
What do
And
they know
literally,
that you what do they know that you don't know, that they're gonna be protected and they're gonna keep their little phony baloney jobs and positions of power? What do they
well,
know?
what I found out is Naperville knew that the state was going to do this. So Naperville wanted to be the spear of the tip of the spear. They wanted to be the one that recognized that there was the first city to do this.
We're
And
trendsetters.
oh, yes, we're on our way to doing everything great. And so when they realized that I'm actually winning this argument, we had Amy Coney Barrett, U.S. Supreme Court Justice, ask, when we send in a preliminary injunction, which was just a Hail Mary, we never thought they would even accept it. She not only accepted it, she ordered that the state and Naperville both answer in full briefs why she shouldn't put this injunction in place. And what happened was the appellate court stepped in and said, "Hey, U.S. Supreme Court, please don't spank us. We're going to do our job. We're going to listen. We're going to have a rocket docket. We're going to go through briefings from both sides and an oral argument within 30 days. Please don't rule on it." So the U.S. Supreme Court said, "Okay, go ahead and run through it." Now, of course, the appellate court spent 7 months trying to figure out a good way to give an opinion that would be against our rights. And they came up with the worst opinion I think anybody's ever heard. So much so that it slaps the U.S. Supreme Court right in the face. They basically said an AR-15 is not a gun. Okay, they said the U.S. Supreme Court doesn't know what they're talking about. We have the right to ban items. Oh yeah, this is an inferior court telling the highest court of the land that they got it wrong. Okay,
what the hell?
yeah. So let me tell you, the U.S. Supreme Court is chomping at the bit to take this case on. And when they do, they are going to make a very good example of the appellate court in the 7th District. And I think it's going to change the landscape of gun control across the U.S. This would probably abolish it completely. You won't be able to ban firearms anymore.
Hey, let me remind you, please, watching right now and listening, wherever you're watching and listening, we would not have this Supreme Court that we have right now if it weren't for President Trump. We would not be in the position we are right now with having one of the 3 branches of government. By the way, I believe there are 4 branches of government now, the unelected bureaucrats being the 4th branch of government. But if things were how they were under Obama with that court or anyone else, where do you think you'd be sitting right now?
Oh, we'd be done. They would have taken our rights and flushed them down the toilet. Right now, it was just ruled recently that Second Amendment rights is a full-blown right. It's not a secondary right. It's not a lower right. It's the only right that says shall not be infringed. Right, the only one. But yet that's the one they're attacking. And they come up with these crazy reasons. They say, the founding fathers didn't have AR-15s. So we shouldn't ban.
You know what? The military at the time didn't have them either. So
exactly.
Exactly. It was written.
Well, I say to them, well, then, I think if that's the way the Second Amendment should be looked at, well, the First Amendment should be the same way. And you should be sending me letters and parchment paper and quill pens, not the internet. Send me smoke signals or something. It's technology. Things have changed.
It's the argument of a 14-year-old. It is really crazy. And I hear it all the time. And they say it like, well, yeah, how can you're dumb if you don't agree with that.
Right. Well, they sit there and say that, look, if we get rid of these guns, if we take them away from law-abiding citizens, we're not going to have any more mass shootings. Well, that's like saying, if you want to stop drunk drivers from killing sober drivers, just don't let sober drivers drive. They're not going to get killed, right? That's exactly what they're saying. It is so idiotic, I can't stand it.
It really is. It really is embarrassing. Actually,
I challenge any of them to debate me on it. I've talked to council members that were prosecutors, and I mean, this one I can tell you. She goes, "Well, what do you need more than 10 rounds for?" And she goes, "Why would anybody want to have 30 rounds?" I said, "I don't know. Why do you put 20 gallons of gas in your car to go to the grocery store?" The point is you don't want to refill it as many times, right? But no, I said in a self-defense situation, let's say you're inside of your house and this crazy riots are going on outside and some guy starts busting through your door. So you take your kids and put them in the bedroom and you slam the door and you sit there with your 9mm pistol with your 10 rounds. And the guy comes knifing through the door. And finally he gets through the door and you shoot him. And on the 9th round, he falls on the ground and your kids and you are safe, right? Hooray. Well, what do you do about the other 6 people coming in behind him?
Right. Exactly.
That's why you want more rounds. You want to be able to outgun the bad guys. They have them. They got 100-round magazines in some of these guns. Why would you limit law-abiding citizens from having these weapons is beyond me. Here's another thing. They have these little signs in Illinois. They put it up. It's a no gun sign. It's a little tiny square. And it says, it's a gun with a cross through it. And the idea is that this is a no gun zone. So you can't carry your concealed carry permit into these private businesses with this sign up there. So, I was in this restaurant and the guy saw me with my firearm on, the manager, and he came up to us. This is a nice restaurant, Morton's. I don't know if you know what Morton's is. But
well, I can't afford it, but yes, I'm familiar.
Yeah, we were at Morton's. He saw I had a firearm and he came up to me and he goes, Robert, you're a great customer and everything, he says, but you can't have your firearm in here. I said, yeah, I can. And he goes, no, we have a sign on the door. I said, well, first of all, I'm a private detective and I can carry it anywhere I go. So that's out the door. It doesn't apply to me. But second, I said, why do you have that sign on the door? I said, that a person that has a concealed carry permit to carry a firearm, they've taken a 16-hour course. They've gone through a complete background check from both the state and the FBI. They're not mentally disturbed. They have no priors. They're not felons. They spent thousands of dollars to get to where they are to carry this gun. 500 on the class, 500 on the gun, a few hundred on the holster. I said, so how much do you know about the other customers in this store? And he had nothing to say. He's like, yeah, I guess you're right, and he actually peeled the sticker off the door. So that was
right
fantastic.
then and there.
Then and there, he took it off. Yep. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. And you know what, Charlie, this is something that I've learned. I've always sort of been, in my own lane, doing my own thing and stay out of political, waves and don't attend the NRA conventions. And I just stayed doing my own thing until they attacked me. And I wish I had not done that. I wish I had spoke up more and got off my butt and did more, all these years. In fact, in 2022, I was able to get 1,800 people to vote that never voted in their lives. And I'm just a small business, and, so what I found out a lot is that Republicans and, most of them are working class people. And, they say, oh, my vote's not going to count. It doesn't matter. My one vote, what I say isn't going to make a difference anyway. And so many people feel that way, that herd mentality of that nobody gets out. We outnumber them, 3 times, 300%. We outnumber the left and anti-gunners all over. It's just a matter of people get up. And I'll say this to everybody out there, get up and do something, whether it's going and talking to your family, talking to your neighbors, maybe they have a different view about, your rights, now all of your rights, all that you have to, go out there and explain it to them, try to get them to be critical thinkers, think about what's happening in to our country right now, and where it's going, this whole coronavirus thing, and then the riots and the all this misinformation on Donald Trump and the leaked documents and all this crap, where is it actually going? Get out there, talk to people. You guys have to work together and go out and vote these bad people out of office. You have the power. They work for us. They're working for us every day, but what they're doing is they're using us like ants and just standing on you to get their will and their money made. So get out there, vote for the right people. Let's get the right people in office and stop this tyranny. Preserve our rights. What are we going to leave this world to our children and our grandchildren if we don't fight now for it?
Brother, there's nothing I can say to improve on what you just said.
Yep.
You have spent at this point, how many? You said almost $500,000.
$485,000. Yeah, just in legal fees.
So, is there anyone helping you? Anyone helping you with your defense against all of this? Anyone stepping up financially helping you?
Well, I thought we'd have a lot more help from the community, since we're fighting for their rights. We think that, hey, everybody has a happy amount that they can give, $10, $20, $100, $1,000, whatever it is, every little bit helps. But, honestly, I think we raised $34,000 from everybody. And, 20,000 of it came from my family and friends, so we haven't raised a lot of money, but people don't understand that how expensive this is to fight and the risk we've taken. I could have simply packed up and moved across the border into Wisconsin and I'd be doing fine. I mean, I'm talking about, 2 decades of
for now. You'd be doing fine for now.
For now. Yeah. So
right now, Wisconsin isn't exactly a conservative state anymore.
It's not, but it's, at least the laws are a little bit better in our favor for now.
Yes.
Right. For now. But right now, today, I wouldn't be in this predicament if I had done that and said, heck with it, everybody, fend for yourself. But, I felt like people didn't understand what this law will do and the effects it has. If Illinois gets an assault weapons ban in place and it stays there, every state that thinks like it is going to get the same thing done. And eventually our Second Amendment will be gone and you won't have the right to own a firearm to defend yourselves. And as soon as you are unarmed, that's when the government's going to take over. or you're going to get attacked by, a foreign government. Because right now they don't come and attack the United States because most people have a gun. Look at Ukraine. Just with small arms, they've been able to hold off a Russian superpower. How's that even possible? It's a speck compared to Russia, and they haven't been able to stop them. So it's very effective having an armed citizenry. And I'm I'm just hopeful that people see it for what it is and are able to help, you know, weed out these bad politicians that we have. I say vote for Trump for sure if he comes back. I think he's one of the best things that have happened. Really an eye opener seeing what he can do. And can you imagine what he would do if he gets elected again? Really just get out there, vote, do whatever you can, talk to your neighbors, stand up for your rights. Don't let them take it away. Eventually, if we do, next thing you know, they're going to want to, restrict how much air you can breathe and how much water you can drink. And if they deem you a bad person, they'll just cut you off.
Oh, that's coming with the ESG.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
that's where it's
coming.
going.
It's already happening.
Yeah, but
Lord help
I'd
us.
appreciate
Lord help us.
any help anybody wants to learn more about what's left of our Second Amendment rights and want to talk to me about it. And you can call my store. It's Law Weapons in Naperville, or get on the website there. We've got some updates that are on the website. We've got there's a donation page. You can help. You can come in and come to some of the rallies that we put together. We can give you direction in your state on how you can help. You join the National Association for Gun Rights. Get out there and do something. If you believe in keeping your firearms and being able to protect yourself, because you can't carry a cop in your pocket, right? You have to be able to protect yourself. And they always say, when seconds count, the cops are only minutes away. So be able to protect yourself.
Right.
Get out there, do something, and make a difference. Leave this earth with something good for your kids and your grandkids and the generations to come. That's
Please
my
share
thought.
this. If you watched it, and wherever you've watched it, you can share this. Share this on your pages. Let people know. Make them aware, and get involved. Robert Bevis can be found at lawweapons.org, O-R-G, not .com,
Correct.
.org. It's law, L-A-W, weapons with an S on the end.
Yep.
Lawweapons.org. And get involved, find out what's happening, because I'm guaranteeing you right now, they don't have a platform. Many other people like Robert, who's a licensed firearm dealer, are encountering the same kind of oppression and the same kind of abuse, but you're not hearing about it.
Yeah.
How many of your fellow friends who are also licensed gun dealers are encountering these kind of things? Do you know?
Well, currently everybody in Illinois, so it's affecting all the gun shops here. I'm not nearly the biggest. I'm a small business compared to a lot of these guys. Heck, Springfield Armory is here in Illinois. They're not allowed to sell these firearms. They're not allowed to manufacture any more firearms in the state. This is a big deal. This is Springfield Armory. They supply the military. I mean, really? But yeah, they're prevented as well. So there's lots of gun shops. There's lots of people that have already folded, pulled their tent stakes and left, have lost their businesses completely. I've been fortunate enough that, I have a really good family standing behind us. And, we went from 11 employees down to 2. So we had to let 9 go, which was terrible. And a lot of them had families and really, depended on us. And we're hoping to bring them back at some point. But, to tell you the truth, Charlie, even if I win this and it takes 4 or 5 years to collect some monetary, compensation for it, where will my business be? How do I ever build that customer base of 12,000 people, or I think we had 9,000 loyal customers that came back every year? How do I rebuild that, and be able to offer the same service? It took 2 decades to build the business, and they can wipe it out with a scratch of a pen. In a couple months. I mean, literally in 4 months or 5 months after they enacted that ordinance, I was down 80% of my business. That's when you have 20% margins, you can't survive. So it's been rough, and we ask anybody that can help, please do. But even if you can't help and you just want to learn more, just give me a call, send me an email, text me. I mean, call the store, ask for me, stop by. If you live in Illinois and you're seeing this, come by. I'll buy you a cup of coffee and answer any questions I can and tell you how to get involved. Even if you're in California or in a different state, give me a call. I will get you in touch with people where you can make a difference. And listen, let me tell you, I've been a life member of the NRA forever. The NRA isn't doing anything. Okay, the NRA hasn't spent any money in litigation in years.
I don't
They
know
are
what the heck is going on there other than their the CEO is
playing the
making
fear.
himself like a couple
Yeah.
of $1 million a year
Well,
for
that's
doing it.
why. Well, he's been misappropriating funds for a long time, and that's why they lost a lot of members. And
I'm not a member anymore. I let it
yeah,
lapse. I'm with the gun owners of California.
yeah,
Um,
okay.
and they're doing
National
great.
Association for Gun Rights, NAGR, National Association for Gun Rights,
Good.
huge group. These guys, you asked me if I had some help. They have stepped in and they are now helping me on the legal fees and paying the legal fees
Oh, thank God.
through the Supreme Court. What I'm doing is trying to keep my store open, spending 20 or 30,000 a month just to keep the doors open because we don't make enough money to pay the bills that are there. And that's what I need to do. If we can keep it open for another, at least to get into October, November, I think at that point we'll be able to get some type of injunction on this law, and at least we'll be able to sell the firearms that I have. I've got hundreds and hundreds of guns in storage that I can't sell. I cannot sell them. Not even allowed to sell them out of state. I can't transport them out of the city. Nothing unless it's a police officer buying it. I cannot sell that gun. And that's so anyway, if we can get through October, November of this year, then I think we'll be able to at least start fending for ourselves again. But we need the help. We really do.
Brother, count on us. Anything we can do to help, we're there for you. Okay.
Thank you very much. And it's been a pleasure to be on the show, Charlie.
Oh,
I'm
I
so happy
appreciate that.
you
Thank,
know.
thank you,
And
sir.
yeah, and I'd love to come on again if you ever need me to be out there. You want to develop a show, you let me know and I'm there.
Done and done. That is Robert Bevis, Law Weapons in Naperville, Illinois. You want to look him up. Law Weapons is the name of the store, and the website is lawweapons.org. Get involved. Share this show. Let other people know what's going on and that there are people fighting literally for their livelihood and maybe even ultimately for their lives. That's how serious this is. I'm Charlie Simons. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America, but most importantly, may America bless God.